break when he called. With the vial, let's get started. We are on Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis. No, yeah, we're on Hey Amud Beis. Amar Rabbi, no, I'm good. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Let's start from Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav. We have a long Daf to do today. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav. Yisrael Haba Machmasakum. So there's a Yisrael on the property, and another Yisrael says, "What are you doing on my property?" And he says, "I bought it from John the Goy, who bought it from you." So the halach is harehu ka'akum. He has no more way to make a chazaka in it than if the Goy himself was claiming chazaka. Ma'akum ein lo chazaka ela b'shtar. Just like a Goy does not have chazaka. The whole 3-year chazaka does not apply to a Goy. A Goy, if he buys something, has to keep his star forever. Af Yisrael abba machmasakum ein lo chazaka ela b'shtar. Zokt the Rashbam. The reasoning for this is Yisrael haba machmasakum areyu ka'akim sada shakol yoidin shoyshe shol Yisrael and va'och la'akum sholoi shadam yoser. And the guy had 3 years, but it's not chazaka. V'toyin shalacham Yisrael. And he claims I bought it, but I lost my stars after 3 years. And then v'ozol Yisrael v'kana mehu akum. Then the Yid went, a second Yid, of course, went and bought it from that guy, from John. And he also was there for 3 years. Rather, the Jew who originally owned the land, who the guy claims he purchased it from, and he could take it away from the Yid who bought it from the guy. And what is the recourse for the Yid? And he'll have to go take it up with the guy who sold him the property. It's the Yid, by buying it from the guy, was mafsid himself. If you buy from a guy, it's incumbent upon you to make sure that you have the star. You need the guy to present the star to you that indicates that he purchased it from the Yid, and you need to hold on to that star. The din chazaka last leila akum v'loy lechol man the osi machmosei. The guy doesn't have a din chazaka, nor anybody who's claiming due to the schus that they might have acquired from the guy. Why not? Why can't goyim have chazaka? The stam akum gazlonim him. Stam akum gazlonim him. Isn't that interesting? Stam akum gazlonim him, but Roiv Yisrael gazlonim him also we learn. So we're in a very cynical world. The stam akum gazlonim him. The Yisrael Yorei Limchos. I'm not sure. The Yisrael Yorei Limchos. And the Yisrael is afraid to protest because he's afraid that he'll get killed. And that's why there's no din chazak. So we're going to see Reish Kalusa's other people who don't have chazaka, people who intimidate other people, and they won't make the chazak. So that's the halach here. Oh, I forgot a very important thing. I'm so sorry. I forgot something so important from yesterday. We learned yesterday that according to the Rebbeinu Tam, there's something called Shuta D'Dani, which means the Dayanim on their own can decide whatever they want, whatever makes them feel good, who something should belong to. Right? Rek Tosfos on Lamed Hayam and Aleph. I forgot to learn this Tosfos inside. I'm not so upset about it. Zok Tosfos, the Im Taimar. In Tosfos Shuta D'Dani, about a little bit more than halfway. Im Taimar, if you're going to tell me that the Yonim have the discretion to give it to whomever they want, so then what the Yonim are going to do, and it's perfectly legal, is say whoever pays me off, that's who gets it. And it's perfectly legal because Shuta D'Dani allows you to do whatever I want. This is what I wanted to highlight. The Chol Dayana, the Mekabel Agra, Lav Dayanu. But this is not against the bribery, because here I'm allowed to give it to whoever I want anyway. Yeah, but if I'm allowed to give to everyone, how does bribe impact the din? So I'll call upon, but you're right. You're not allowed to take bribes. The Chol Dayana, the Mekabel Agra, Lav Dayanu. That's Nishkan Dayan. So could be in this particular case he's allowed to do it, but it still disqualifies him in general of being a dayan, because like Duvi says, he's accepting shochat. I just wanted that line. Called Dayana, Mekabel Agra, Lav Dayanahi. So there's a lot of people who have a big placard on their desk that says dayan, on their door it says dayan, but they're not dying at all. They're like the Hania, who's also dying eventually. Okay, Zok Tehillah Gemara. So now we know that the Yisrael bought it from a goy. He needs to make sure that he has that stock. However, the Omar Yisrael, but if the Yid who purchased it claimed Lididi Omar Li Akum, what do you mean? The guy told me, John told me, the Minoch Zavna, that he bought it from you, Mehemen, he will be believed. And the Rashbam says, why would you say that? Since the Jew thought to say that, that means his brain is working. That means he considered these possibilities. He considered these possibilities. He's considered these possibilities that maybe the land didn't transfer properly. So therefore, once we know he was thinking of that, Zokt Rashbam, Hakadami have a motzah lemitin, that gives him a migoy because he could have tiny it. I bought it from you. Okay, 1 second. I have to take a quick break. I have to order an Uber for my son. Menachem, should I order the Uber? 6 Alonzo, right? 6:35 Alonzo. Okay, I'm ordering right now. 1 second. Hold it on the phone. I apologize. I have to get my son a Uber. 6:35 Alonzo. Oh, where are you going in JFK? Do you know a terminal? Yeah, hopefully they'll
You didn't do the sign like on the way, no?
huh?
You did the sign that says on the way.
So hopefully there will be. Yeah, 1 second. He's flying Delta. 1 second. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Internal 4.
Terminal 4 is good. 6:35 Alonzo. Yana trip. It is Far Rockaway. No, the Air France messed us up. Where to? What is it again? Terminal 4. No, nothing. JFK. Terminal 4. We checked it up. Okay, are you ready? Okay. It's 4 minutes away. 1 second. I have to make sure that they get it for you. And I'll tell you the name of the what's that? Why? Oh, no, they wouldn't. It wouldn't make our life easier, but okay, they want you to meet on Virginia Street.
Yeah, on the corner of Virginia, and Alonzo.
Okay, gewaltig. You're going to be dropped up at 6:47. They're going to pick me up in 5 minutes. Your driver's name is Frank. He's completing a trip nearby. And I'm going to see what he's driving a Lincoln MKT. And the last 4 digits of the license plate is 372, C as in Charlie.
Okay, fine.
Do me a favor. Text you when you get it. And it's a black Lincoln. And he's a very fancy guy, the driver, because his skin matches the color of his car. He got a car to match his skin color. Okay, so as soon as you're in the car, do me a favor, call me or text me. Okay, thank you, Tavik. Now, I did some homework after he missed his flight, and they said it's impossible in the Charles de Gaulle airport to get from place A to place B in under 2.5 hours. Impossible. So they set you up on a flight, and it was Air France who booked both segments. I booked it out for Air France. It's impossible that you could have ever made it. So it's their portion for even setting it up. Kolsch gave him a Kolsch during the Olympics. And he made it in an hour and 20 minutes. And he was there at the gate 20 minutes before they closed the door, but they wouldn't let him on. No. They went anti-Semitic, and they were very nasty to him. Then they said, okay, so then reschedule me. So they said, no, figure it out, call your travel agent. We're not even helping you. Like, they were very nasty. They wanted a suitcase. They were harassing him. We're getting a suitcase back because he had to get a suitcase back to put on a new flight. Anyway, he got everything back. Izzy Miller helped us sort it out. But Izzy Miller would be in big trouble. Izzy Miller and the Rebbeinu Shalom with a lot of money. Okay. Talk to Gemara weiter. So if he said, not because that gives him any of the mothers, but now he has a migui, because you see he was thinking about these things. So he's a migui. He could have said, I bought it from you directly, and I have 3 years of Chazaka. How could you possibly say that he's believed? If the guy was right here claiming that he bought it from the Yid, he wouldn't be believed. But Vibaldi Yisrael as a migui, he's believed to say something in the name of the guy. All he's saying is that the guy told him that. But what's helped us mir if you can't trust the guy? So how is that a migui? Elo Amar Rava, this is a better migui. The Amar Yisrael, I myself personally witnessed that you sold it to the guy. Vizavna Neheli, and now the guy sold it to me. Then the Yid Neman, Migudi Boy Amarlei, I'm not Zavit Tamina. Because the Yid could have said, he could have not mentioned the guy at all. When the Yid approached him and said, why are you in my field? He could have just said, I bought it from you, and I'm here for 3 years. Because he has 3 years of Chazaka, and he could have said that he bought it directly from the guy, directly from the Yid. Therefore, he's believed when he says, I bought it from the guy, but I myself independently verified that the guy bought it from you. We learned this 2 days ago. Someone who's all excited, he's approaching somebody's property with all of his tools that he's going to harvest a decal, a date tree with. The Omar, and he said, Ezel Igzira Ledikla the Planya, I'm going to go now harvest the dates from Plony's tree. There's Avantamine, because I purchased that right from him. Why? Because lechotz of inish lemigzer dikla delav delay. Nobody would dare claim that this is mine, and if it wasn't his, and then he would go chop it down. It must be the truth. So if you remember, the Gemara asked, so why about Chazaka? Don't you say lechotz of inish to pack into somebody's property and take it over delav delay? So the Gemara answered, the norm is to write a star when you buy a property. There we have a time, where's your star? But it's not the norm to write a star when you buy somebody's fruit. Therefore, he's believed with the Lechatzevin. Remember Yehuda. Haiman the Achzik Meguda the Arudi Ulavar. They used to put fences around their property, but they wouldn't put the fences on the property line. They would recess the fences into their property and leave a perimeter of, let's say, 5-6 feet around their property that wasn't covered by the fence. And someone came, and the reason why they would do it is to allow animals to eat from that area. Rashi says, the Rishbam says, Chayis Hasoda, the boys, it was normal that they would eat a little bit around the field. I guess they wanted to feed the animals a little bit. So the Kirois, the Gorjan Hasoda, Umanichin Kaka Chutz Kirmaat, the Sodas Hasmuchos Liar, Umashlichel Chamzer. They would actually throw animal feed over there. Umashitzemeach, boys Achayis for Oichel. So they didn't throw, it wasn't animal feed. They planted so that there should be some plantation growing there, and this way the animals would have what to eat, but at least they wouldn't go into my field. That's why I tend to leave open food in my neighbor's yard, so any raccoons that are by me will go to my neighbor, right? If someone tried to make a chazak on that land that's out of the perimeter, that wouldn't be a chazaka. Why? Zok the Heilige Gemara, lo have a chazaka my time, Maimor Amar, the owner will say, you know why I wasn't meicher? Because kol the zara nami arudi achlei. I don't care if he plants there and if he takes the fruit that he planted there, because anyway, whatever grows there, I'm abandoning to the animals. So I have no reason to be meicher because I don't care. Knock yourself out. I don't care if you're there. Dr. Rishbam, the Yochaloimer, Kivin, the Chol Madazor Bahukaka. Arudi Achlei, the animals that I eat, I'm not going to be meicher. The loy achzik kedemaxik inchi. he didn't make a proper chazaka because he took land, pairs from land that no one's makpid on anyway. That doesn't demand that I should make a malach. Achla orla, and the Bach sticks in other isurim. Achla orla, shaviyas uchlayim. The person who was machzik, one or all of the years were fruits that were not allowed to be eaten. Eina chazaka, it's not a chazaka. And once again, the Rishbam explains, Achas mina shalosh shanim, because shviyas, it can't be 3 years of shviyas. You could have 3 years of orla. But even if one of the 3 years was be'isr, if one of them is orla and the chazaka, that year it doesn't bother them if people take. Therefore, he wasn't meicha. Surely, if all 3 years were orla, orla klayim achilasam be'isr, orla and klayim, if you eat them, it's also, and shviyas is hefker lakoil. There are all reasons why the owner doesn't see the need to be meicha. The kachlei micha la'ave chazak. What is shachas? What happened is instead of waiting for the tefua to grow to full height, he ate it before it was fully grown. This person who was trying to be machzik did eat the payers of this field for 3 years, but not when they were fully matured, when they were still shachas. That's food that you serve your behema in the chazaka. You know why? The shamet v'achel. You see, he's like sneaking out. He's not waiting until it's fully grown. He didn't eat pears in this field like a normal person will eat. Again, that's not a strong show of bailus. Therefore, it's pretty clear that this guy, in the way he's using the field, is indicating that he doesn't own it. He doesn't want to make a proper chazak because he knows that it was begezel yored. Amar B'Yosef, Achla Shachas L'Hava Chazaka. Amar Rabba, I hope there's no trouble there. By now, he should have been picked up. I told him not to call me, which he didn't. Oh no, he's in there already. He's heading to the air train station. Okay, I hope that's normal. Okay, Dr. Gemara weiter. Amar Rava, the ibit savar mechuza. If this area is in the neck of mechuza, I guess it was a neighborhood in mechuza where the Rashbam says the biggest mechuza, it would be a chazaka. There are very wealthy people there. Ubehemos lahem harbe. They have a lot of behemoths, so they need a lot of animal feed. So therefore, v'darkam lahachal asadosh lebehemoths kashen shakas. The reason why they don't let their product fully grow to serve to humans is because they need a lot of animal feed. So therefore, there it would be a chazaka because there it would be the normal way to use your field, and therefore you would have to object if you saw someone using your field that way. Amar Nachman, tafchisa. What is tafchisa? Rashi says the Rishbam says two pshatim. Either it's a bad grade property that's full of holes, and therefore it doesn't really produce good payers, and therefore if someone's there, no one's going to be meicha. But the Rach says it's a very interesting thing. It's a sada shloich harishaysa. You never plowed it. So how did it develop furrows to be able to put seeds into? Hello hokshima, it rained. Then v'nosh v'aruach, then the wind blew. V'zarcha shemesh, and the sun shined. V'nispaka, and it created cracks in the property. Kagoin pischei harisha, and that's where the rose came from. So whatever the case is, lo have a chazaka using it is not a good chazaka. Apakur v'ayil kur lo have a chazaka. If every season of planting he planted a core and he only took out a core, that's not a chazaka because an owner actually expects to harvest more than what he plants. And members of the Reish Galusa loy machzekibon, if they have our property for 3 years, their chazaka is not a good chazaka. And the Rishbam says, you know why it's not a good chazaka? Because it's no raya that the person wasn't moicha. He wasn't moicha because he's afraid of the Reish Galusa bullying him. So therefore he wasn't moicha. So therefore they always have to hold on to their star. And we could never make a chazaka in their properties. Why? Because they don't care if people plant and cultivate and improve their properties. They're going to lose the properties? No, because they're not going to go to Besdin. They're not going to be worried. 5 years later, after you put in hundreds of $1,000s on my property, they come and just throw you off. So therefore, you cannot make a chazaka in their property because they're not going to be money. Avodim. Correct, Gemara. Avodim yesh lem chazaka. How could you make a chazaka on an eved? Things that move around, like behemoths dakos, you can't have a chazaka because it's normal to find someone's goydrois in your property. They move around. It will be normal that my eved could be floating around in your property. So if that's the case, there shouldn't be a din chazaka. Just like we said, there's no din muksik on something that's the norm to lend out, right? A keli that's the norm to lend out, I can't say a muksik because I can claim this is something that was lent out. Things that normally are not lent out, things that are normally expected to remain in the property of their owner, there you'll have a chazaka if it's not in the property. But something that normally roams, that would not have a din chazaka. Amar einan chazaka la'alter. So how can you say that? This halacha means you don't have an instant chazaka, meaning it doesn't make you a muks, because I can say, you know why it's in your property? Because it wandered in. But if you're holding on to those animals, even wandering animals, for 3 years, that already is not the norm, and therefore you'd have a chazaka. Amarava, what if it was an eved, but a little baby, meaning it can't move by itself? So then, if I have a baby eved in my property, and you come along and say, hey, that's my eved, I can say, no. Why would I think otherwise? These are not goydres. Oh, that's exactly the point. It has a mother, and what happened was the mother did come and do some work in my property. So maybe the reason why the baby's in my property is a You know why the baby is by me? Not because it's mine. It's because the mother came to do some work for me. Maybe my friend let me use his evet for the day, and she brought her baby along, and now she forgot her baby. Kamash Malon, a mother never forgets her child. A mother does not leave her child around. A mother will never leave a child in a hot car. It will never happen. A mother doesn't do that. Okay, listen, I remember I used to have a neighbor in Lakewood that was the epitome of yeshivish. Guy, he wasn't a koil, but it was the epitome of yeshivish. It would be a normal scene in my courtyard that there'd be 4 naked children under the age of 6. When I say naked, I mean in the rain riding their bicycles. It would be a normal scene and we wouldn't even look twice. So if I hear Yoim, one of their little children went missing, like a toddler, went missing. And I got the police involved. It was terrifying. Their child vanished. Anyway, they found it 6 hours later under a crib in one of the houses across the street. That's called Goydrois Ein Laham Chazaka. They wandered there. Dr. Gemara, Hana easy. This is a story that we already learned. Hana easy, the Achli Chushla Benarda. Chushla are peeled barley kernels, which I guess are expensive. And someone had these barley kernels piled up in his property. And someone's izim from across the street wandered into his property and ate them and caused a lot of damage. Also, Morris Chushla. So the owner of the chushla wanted to retrieve his loss, so he wanted some type of collateral. Tafsinu, he sees these izim, at least he'll be able to collect money from them. But the problem was, v'havakaton tuva. He went to Bezdin and said, these chushla are worth $10,000, but he did $20,000 damage. I want you to force him to pay me $20,000. Amar Avudah Shmuel Paskin, Yocha litinat kedei demein. We will consider you muksik on these izim, and therefore $10,000 you could demand back. That's their value, but you don't have proof to more. We won't be able to extract more from the Baltin. How is there a muksik? The boy Amar l'kul l'shem b'yadi. He's believed with him that this is what the person damaged him, because he could say, I bought these animals, they belong to me, because I'm a muksik in them. If Gorgeous doesn't have a chazaka, these are goats, they're wandering animals, there's no chazaka on them, so therefore how could you have had an option to tanya l'kucha shem b'yadi, your muksik is worthless. No. Maybe other types of animals will say are gorgeous, but shiny easy, the Masir Laraya. Because I can't grab your goat. You grab my goat, I'll take it back. The territory is like a claim to mine. Right, so he has a mikut. Right, so it's like a mikut.
Yeah, but what is the value?
Because that's all I have. That's all I have a mikut for. That's all I have there. So let's have a look at what type of animals we're talking about. I have a different question, and that is, why would this not be a migu lahaiti? So let's see what the response says. Yachalita in akadei domain shall izim my timer migu di yachalamemer balasada lukuf name biyadi the toughest behu umahemen. I would be believed if I claimed they were mine. Kikamar nami kach v'kach ach umahemen. The kaim alone haim hemen is b'shvua. Even though he's believed he would have to make a shvua. Avol b'tfei mechdei domain. The lekamigui, but he wouldn't be able to make a claim that this fellow owes him more than what they were worth. So I'm not sure why this is not a migul lahitzi, unless that's why you make him make a shua, because I'm collecting from you using this migul. So I'm not sure. Okay, Dr. Gemara either goydrus, and for the Gemara shiny easy. So look at what the response says. The goydrus ninu, they're normally not roaming free. The kivan the Masir Leroya, they're different more than rams and sheep, and therefore nobody can grab them on the way because they're protected. So I'm not sure. I don't know my animals. For some reason, I'll let kvasim, sheep, and I'll let rams wander, but I won't let goats wander. Again, I don't know my farm animals that well. I don't even know if I'd be able to identify a goat compared to a lamb, compared to a ram. I'm not sure if I'd be able to. Okay. Most people in Lakewood who have big properties are able to identify them, because in order to get a reduced rate on their property tax, if you have animals on your property, you can claim you have a farm. So there's a lot of people in Lakewood who have like 3 or 4 goats on their property, and this way they can pay a reduced rate. But I don't have that option. We only have one person in their neighborhood who has ducks, but I'm not sure if they get a reduction on their taxes because of that. Anyway, someone's raccoons ate up our ducks. You heard about that? The horrible massacre. Okay, they want to say it was a hate attack. They claim it was a hate attack. It was an animal about that. Anyway, Zok to Gemara, what are you talking about? Well, it's not by the royal all day. In the morning, it goes to school. The afternoon, it comes home from school. They're unprotected during that period of time, and maybe that's when he chapped them. So it shouldn't be a chazaka. And the Gemara bin Hardah, we're talking about an Hardah, Tayi, Shchicha, there's a lot of Arab gangsters there. And therefore, when you give it to the Raya, you hand it to them directly, and you don't leave it unsupervised at any time. Therefore, by the fact that this person, the owner of the chushta, sees them, he has a good muhsik. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, you could do a chazaka in a year and 18 months, because you have 3 years of the first year, the whole second year, and 3 years of the second year. And then Rabbi Kiva said it's 1 month, a year, and the second month. So it will be a total of 14 months. So for the Gemara, what and the Rishbam brought this up on the mission itself. Why would Rabbi Shmuel hold you need 3 months? Because that's the amount of time it takes to have a full growing period. So as long as you have a growing period in 3 years, 3 consecutive years, you're going to be fine. Rabbi Yehuda said, Rabbi Kiva said, only 1 month. In 1 month, you can't grow fruit. So exactly what does he want to be used as making the chazak? Zok the Gemara, Leiman Nir Ikebenai. Maybe if you merely plow the field in preparation for planting, that's enough of a showing of ownership. That would be a good chazaka, and maybe that is the sheet of Rabbi Kiva, why you only need a month. Leiman Nir Ikebenai. Rabbi Shmuel over near Loyav a chazaka. You need a full cycle of pairs growth, which would be 3 months. Rabbi Kiva's over near have a chazaka, and therefore 1 month is enough. Right? Gemara with Hizbra, Rabbi Kiva, my ear Yechodesh. If it's all it is plowing, why do I need a month for plowing, turning on top of base? Even if you had it 1 day, and in that 1 day you plowed, shouldn't that be a good chazaka? So based if Nir is the Chazaka, then it really should take 1 year and 2 days. Ella, we're forced to say the Baal Rabbi Kiva says you need at least a month. Ella the Chul Alma Nir lo have a Chazaka. It must be Sai Rabbi Shmuel and Sai Rabbi Kiva agree that merely plowing is not Chazaka. V'hacha peir Rabba upeir Zuta ikebeinai. Rabbi Kiva held you don't need a Chazaka with a full-blown peri that takes 3 months to grow. It could be with a smaller peri that takes less to grow, so you still get a growth cycle in. Let's see the Rashbam. Peri Rabba parazitic benayu. Rabbi Shmuel sirulei the lev Chazaka achi yilkat peri Rabba until you have 3 harvests of big pears. When all of the tour is finished. You need 3 full months for the full season where you could harvest fully all of the pears in the field. These are all plants that take 3 months to grow, and you need to have a full growth cycle 3 times for a chazak. Rabbi Kiva Savar, Perizuta, the Hainu Kagoin Shachas, even if you harvested it before it was fully grown, that would also be a good chazaka. So we have to point out, we just learned earlier that shachas is not a chazaka because it's not achli kadachli inch unless you're in the tzavar de mechuza. So I'm not sure. I mean, I guess Rabbi Kiva is a Tanu who argues on Rabbi Shmuel and knows that shachas would also be a good chazaka. Tanu Rabbanu, Nir einay chazaka, v'yesharim mareza chazaka. So we proved Sai Rabbi Shmuel and Sai Rabbi Kiva hold that Nir is not a chazaka, but there are Tanoim who holds that it is a chazaka. Man yesharim, Amar B'chista Rab Acha hi yitzavach. The Tanya we learned to Bryce. Nir Shana, v'zara base. 1 year you only plowed, 2 years you actually planted. Or Nir base, v'zara Shana. Ein a chazaka, that wouldn't be a good chazaka. Rav Acha Omer, Harei zu chazaka. So let me just take a quick peek at Tosfos because something is bothering me and doesn't make sense. So let's look at Tosfos. Nir Shana v'zara Shtayim. Nir Shtayim v'zara Shana achas. If he only planted 1 year and he plowed 2 years, loy nokat. Only reason why that's one of the cases listed over here is Mishum Marbusa to Rav Acha is for the chiddush of Rav Acha. Rav Acha is the one who holds Nir as a chazaka. Even if 2 out of 3 years the chazaka was made with Nir, it would still be a good chazaka. Dafilu haki have a chazaka. V'aimeri zaktari Nira davka kegoyin shenira v'zara v'nira. The only way this would work is if you didn't have 2 years of plowing only in a row. Rather, you plowed 1 season, you planted the next season, and you plowed the 3rd season. Avol neira b'zeh if 3 years in a row you plow and you don't plant, afilu Rav Acha moida, then the chazaka. Even Rav Acha would agree that it's not a chazaka. The ma moil charisha kol kach shecharsha beishonim b'loizriya. Why would he be plowing it year after year? That's not a show of ownership. Plowing in preparation for planting, that's considered a manifestation of ownership. So therefore, even though the lashon is of nira beis v'zara shana, that's not the order. It had to have been. It couldn't have been 2 consecutive years of plowing. There had to be planting of it. Okay, so more weiter. Amar Rab Ashi. Let me see what the base is because I think he changed the name. Amar Rav Acha. Bach changed it. Sheilis kol gadol adar. I asked all the gadol adar. V'amru li, and they all told me near harei zechazak. Amar Rabbi Rav Nachman. Rabbi asked Rav Nachman, my time with the band of Omer near have a chazak. Why is it a chazak? Why is that a manifestation of ownership? Because like Ovid Inish, the krivu lay la'arei b'shas. Nobody's going to stand by as somebody comes in with his big rig and invests a lot of money and starts plowing his field, and I would let you do it because I clearly look at that as an invasion. So therefore, my time with the man Omer lira no have a chazak. So why would you hold near lo have a chazaka? Because Meimer Amar, the owner says, knock yourself out. Kol shiva v'shiva the karvu liable. Every splinter of a plow that comes into my property, bring it on. Because plowing is very good for the property. It aerates the soil, it breaks up the clumps. So you want to do it, knock yourself out, come do it. But I don't consider that a chazak. So I guess the question is, to what degree It irks somebody to see somebody else plowing his field without demand a response. The people from Pumnahira sent a question to Rab Nachman by Rab Chisda. The Rebbe teach us, Nira have a chazaka or lo have a chazaka? Is Nir a chazaka or not? Amalu Rabacha v'chol gedolei adar amru Nir have a chazaka. I raise a chazaka. So he name dropped. He said, "What are you talking about? How the gedolei adar and Rabacha hold that it's a chazaka." Amar Rab Nachman. Amar Rab Nachman. Bar Yitzchak, Rab Nachman answered back, Rabusa lemechshav gavri. Well, you think you're impressing me by name dropping and saying everybody holds like that? I don't know about you, but I have Rav and Shmuel. Rav and Shmuel b'Bavel, Rabbi Shmuel b'Kiva b'Eretz Yisrael. It's funny. Rav and Shmuel are Amoraim. Rabbi Shmuel and B'Kiva are Tanoim. But I have these four titans, Amri. They all agree against your Gedolah Yisrael that you're quoting from. That near Loyav Chazak. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Kiva Masnisani. Right, our mission says you either need three growing seasons. So clearly, near wouldn't work. Right? We said earlier, even Rabbi Kiva can't mean near, because otherwise one day would be enough. He needs 30 days. Rav Mahi, where do you see Rav agrees to Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva that near is not a chazaka? Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav, Zu Diver Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Kiva. Our Mishnah lists the Shida of Rabbi Shmuel 3 full years of Paris, Rabbi Kiva 18 months of Paris. I'm sorry, 14 months of Paris. Rabbi Shmuel holds 18 months. Rabbi Kiva holds 14 months. But the Chachamim argue on both of them, and they say Chaskasa Gimel Shanim Miyoim Liyoim. 3 years, day to day. Lemute Mai Miyoim Liyoim Lemute Mai. What is Rav trying to highlight by specifying Miyoim Liyoim? Lav Lemute Nir, to tell us that Nir wouldn't work. That Nir doesn't work. Rather, you need 3 full years. Now, you know why you would need 3 full years? The reason why you would need 3 full years is because of our maskana. In the Gemara, originally, we were speculating what makes the chazaka. Is it because someone cannot stand by and watch someone take his payers for 3 years? And that would explain Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva? Or is it a completely different halacha, which is what we learned? Is that it's normal for a purchaser to watch a star for 3 years. And after 3 years, he won't watch a star anymore. If that's the reason, of course it's 3 years, because that's it's based on the expected behavior of a purchaser. So that's what it is. Nobody holds that the Nir is a chazaka. Shmuel Mahi, where do you see Shmuel holds that Nir is not a chazaka? Damar Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel, Zudiver Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Kiva, Avol Chachamim Maimim, Ad Sheyigdar Shalosh Gedeiros, the Yimtzak Gimel B'tziros, the Yimtzak Gimel B'sikos. So once again, that's a lot more than Nir. Nobody holds of Nir. Gemara, my Beinai, what is the difference between Shmuel, who quotes the Chachamim as Yigdar Shalosh Gedeiros, Yimtzak Gimel B'tziros? It takes 3 years to do that. It takes 3 years to do that, to completely harvest all the trees. So isn't it the same as the 3 years Miyoim Liyoim that Rav quoted the Chachamim saying? Amar Abaye, no. Dekol Naira Ikebeinai. If you have young trees, young day trees, that you'd be able to harvest in less than 3 years. Let's see the Rashbam. Dekol Naira Ikebeinai, Dekol Yolda V'chura, a young day tree. The Pakos Megimel Shamam or Dibit Pakos Megimel Shamam Shleimois, Toyanis Gimel Pam. In less than 3 complete years, it'll actually have 3 full cycles of fruit. The Shmuel have a chazaka begimel gedeiros. According to Shmuel, will be a chazaka with 3 harvests. Afal the leka gimel shanim shleimos, even though you don't have 3 complete years. L'Rav bin gimel shanim miyoim liyoim. And according to Rav, it's because that's the derech of how long a lekech will hold the star. According to Shmuel, even the Chacham hold, it's still totally the cycle of Paris. But normally the cycle of Paris takes 3 years unless you have this young dekel that produces fruit more quickly. Gewaltig. Amar Rabbi Shmuel. Bamed devar marmurim b'stei halavan. A stei halavan is a tree that is a field that grows grain. That's where we have the halacha of the 18 months of the 3 seasons of growth. Amar Abaye. Let's actually see the Mishnah inside. We have 2 minutes. We might as well see the Mishnah inside. It's hard to believe that so many pletter have passed since we started Chazaka Zavat. It's only a total of about 7 lines of Gemara. But it's like, okay, let's find the mission. It's way back. So Shmuel said, if it's fruit trees, as long as you had 3 separate harvests, even if it was in 1 year, it would still be considered a chazak because it's totally in harvest, not in years. So let's get back to our Gemara. Amar Abaye, Midi Rabbi Shmuel. From Rabbi Shmuel's comments, Nishma Rabbanon, we could understand what Rabbanon means. Okay, Zogt, Rabbi Shmuel, the Bishon Achas, have a Chazaka, Bisad Achas, Bisholosh Lekiktois, Bishloshim Akaimis. According to Rabbi Shmuel, you can technically have a Chazaka in 1 year because it's all about harvest by having 3 different harvests in 3 different areas of the field. Kidikatani, like he said in our Mishnah. Kana says to Vasa, so midvara from Rabbi Shmuel's comment, Nishmahul Rabbanon the Pligi Alei, the Rabbanon who argue on Rabbi Shmuel and holds you need 3 full years, Kedam Rabbi Shmuel La'il, right? Uvo Gimel Shanim, right? We said that the Chachamim argue and hold you need 3 full years. We'll learn a Chiddush according to the Rabbanon as well. The Leka Plukta Ben Rabbi Shmuel Ben Rabbanon, El Bishon Achas V'Gimel Shanim. The whole machlokes is whether or not you can do this in 1 year, or if you need 3 years. The Chumod need 3 years. But how the Chazaka is done in each of those years, in that we see no reason to assume that they're arguing. I will call my Damar Bishmuel B'Shana Achas, Ami Rabbanon B'Gimel Shana. They would agree as long as you had those 3 years. So let's have a look. Amar Bai B'Rabbi Shmuel Nishul Rabbanon. Hayu Loi Shloishim Milanois Mimata Asara Levesa. The normal density is 10 per besa, and you had a property with 30 trees that were properly spread out. Not too much, not too little, meaning harvesting these trees is showing ownership on the entire field. There were only 10 trees that were ready to be harvested in year 8, and you harvested all those trees. So you're talking 3 years, but nevertheless, you don't have to have eaten every pear of every tree as long as you ate what was ready to go, even though you didn't eat every single one. Why would I say that? Lav miyamar Shmuel chada peir have a chazaka l'chula peri. By making a chazaka by harvesting one peri, one type of peri, that's a chazaka. That's a full year. He counts it as a full year. Hachanami hanu have a chazaka lahani. The hanu have a chazaka lahani. Each of these trees would be a good chazaka, even for the whole land, even though you didn't eat the pears, every peri of all the trees in 1 year. That's only if other trees didn't produce and you didn't collect from them. In other words, as long as you harvested all of the trees that produced pears in that year, even though you didn't harvest all the trees, that would be a good chazaka. But if you only took the pears of 10 trees, but 20 trees produced pears and you didn't take them, that's will have a chazaka, because that's showing you not being machzor. And v'huda basa bazuzi. That we're saying that 10 trees a year out of a 30 tree field is a good chazaka, that's only if all the trees are interspersed. But if you have 3 separate sections of the property, and in each section there were 10 trees, and you only harvested the trees from one section, that wouldn't show a chazaka with others. But if they're just all over the place, randomly distributed throughout the field, and you had a third of the trees each year, that would be a good chazaka, even according to the Rabban. Okay, we'll stop here, Be'ez Hashem, and we will be mamshuk tomorrow.